DC commuter train crash. Takes 6. And dozens injured after the rush hour crash. Train cars of both trains ripped open. One Metro transit train smashed into the rear of another at the very height of the capital city's Monday evening rush hour, killing at least 6 people and injuring scores of others as the front end of the trailing train jackknifed violently into the air and fell atop the first. Train cars of both trains were ripped open and smashed together in the worst accident in the Metrorail system's 33-year history. The District of Columbia fire spokesman said crews had to cut some people out of what he described as a mass casualty event. Rescue workers propped steel ladders up to the upper train to help the survivors scramble to safety, and seats from the smashed cars spilled out onto the track. It was a very violent train crash. DC Mayor Adrian Fenty said 6 were confirmed dead. Fire Chief Dennis Rubin said rescue workers treated at least 76 people at the scene and sent some of them to local hospitals, and 6 with critical injuries. A Metro official said the dead included the female operator of the trailing train. The crash around 5 p.m. took place on the system's Red Line, Metro's busiest, which runs below ground for much of its length, but is at ground level at the accident site near the Maryland border in northeast Washington. Metro Chief John Cato said the first train was stopped on the tracks, waiting for another to clear the station ahead when the trailing train, the oldest in the Metro fleet, plowed into it from behind. Officials have no explanation for the accident. The National Transportation Safety Board has taken charge of the scene or investigation. DC Police and FBI also had investigators at the scene to help search the wreckage for any overlooked injured or dead passengers and evidence. May the Lord rest their souls. A loud boom. Each train had 6 cars and was capable of holding as many as 1,200 people. The trains were bound for downtown. That would mean they were less likely to be filled during the afternoon rush hour. It could have been worse. Much worse. The trains had pulled out of the Tacoma Park station and were headed in the direction of the Fort Totten station. More than 200 firefighters from DC, Maryland, and Virginia eventually converged on the scene. This was a very bad train crash. The people that were hurt, the ones that could speak, were calling back as we called out to them, said one passenger. Lots of people were upset and crying, but there were no screams, no panic. No sign of terrorism. Homeland Security Department said less than 2 hours after the crash that federal authorities had no indication of any terrorism connection. Monday's crash was the third major subway or commuter rail crash in a big city in the past 9 months. In the earlier accidents, in September 2008, a commuter rail train and a freight train crashed in LA, killing 25 people. The crash was blamed on an engineer on the commuter rail sending text messages on a cell phone. And last month, approximately 50 people were injured in Boston when one trolley rear-ended another. The conductor admitted to sending a text message when the crash occurred. Increase in accidents? No reason was given for the Washington crash, but some safety experts are becoming concerned about the recent increase. I'm not sure if everyone in the safety system is paying the proper attention that needs to be paid, said a San Francisco-based safety consultant and former investigator and manager at the National Transportation Safety Board. These things shouldn't be happening. The crash occurred just as two Democratic senators had called on Congress to approve $50 million in funding for a new railroad safety device designed to automatically prevent trains from crashing. $50 million. That's not a lot of money when compared to the $50 billion given to General Motors or government motors, whatever have you call it. The NTSB called for requiring the so-called positive train control after a head-on crash last year in Los Angeles. We cannot afford to delay the implementation of positive train control and other life-saving safety measures on our nation's busiest commuter freight rail corridors, said the letter from committee senators Jay Rockefeller, Democrat, West Virginia, and Barbara Boxer, Democrat, California. Automated devices can sense when two trains are headed for each other on the same track, automatically stopping them before a crash. Yes, it sounds like they need to do that quickly. And once again, all these things are more signs of the end times, transition days. Everything that's not right must change. It must change rapidly. And everything is connected. There are many, many signs happening all around the world every day.